winter night, and the small bus station was almost empty. Dim, yellow lights flickered above the cracked pavement, while a single old bus waited quietly in the darkness. The sky was covered with heavy clouds, and the wind blew through the silent station. The bus looked rusty and abandoned, but it was the last bus leaving that night. Inside the bus, the lights were weak and flickering. Only a few passengers were sitting quietly. A tired bus driver stared at the road ahead without speaking. Two strange men whispered to each other in the back seats, while an old woman sat by the window, staring into the dark night outside. The bus began moving through the empty highway. The road became darker and lonelier. Tall trees surrounded the road like shadows, watching the bus pass by. The headlights cut through the thick darkness, while fog slowly began covering the road ahead. After some time, the old woman suddenly stood up from her seat. She slowly walked down the aisle of the bus toward the driver. Her footsteps were silent, and every passenger watched her with confusion. When she leaned close to the driver, she whispered something that made his face turn pale. A few minutes later, the bus suddenly stopped in the middle of the empty highway. There were no houses, no lights, and no other vehicles anywhere. The engine turned off, and the entire bus became completely silent. The driver nervously looked around as if he was afraid of something outside. Suddenly, a loud bang hit the side of the bus. Everyone jumped in fear. Another heavy thud came from the roof, like something was running across the top of the bus. The passengers looked at each other in terror as the strange sounds continued in the darkness. Then a horrifying scratching sound began coming from the bus door. It sounded like long, sharp nails slowly dragging across the metal. The door started shaking slightly while the passengers held their breath, frozen in fear. Very slowly, the bus door creaked open by itself. Cold night air rushed inside the bus. Outside, in the thick darkness, a tall, shadowy figure stood silently. Its body looked too tall and thin to be human. The creature slowly stepped closer to the bus, its head tilted unnaturally to one side, and its glowing eyes stared directly inside the bus. The passengers were too terrified to move. As the shadow grew larger under the bus headlights, suddenly the lights inside the bus began flickering violently. The driver tried to start the engine, but it wouldn't work. Outside the bus, the dark creature stood silently in the fog, watching them as if it had been waiting for the bus all along.